We're going to still kind of continue with our theme of 5 a day, but we're going to take it in a very different way. So I was intending for us to do an Ashtanga practice tonight, but that's not going to happen because Ashtanga is a practice which builds heat, and that's definitely something that we don't need at the moment. So we're going to be doing lots of really cooling poses, lots of forward folds, and we're going to start off with a little bit of a breathing practice called Sitali, which the idea of that is to cool the body and sort of really set us off in a cooler start. So coming to sit or to lie, you may find that lying feels quite warm, so sometimes the fewer points of contact with your mat on a hot day are sort of better, but give it a try if you do want to lie down. So just coming to sit, and then just closing your eyes, and we're just going to spend our first few moments just tuning in to how we're feeling. So taking a big breath in through the nose, and then exhaling through the mouth, sighing out. And often we sigh out, we talk about sighing out stress, also sigh out excess heat. So as you breathe in and then as you exhale, just feeling as if well, the breath is warm as it leaves the body. You're really using the breath to cleanse the body of the heat that you've built up during the day. It has been a few days of sort of this time of day is getting to the sort of the hottest part of the day. So we really do just want to cool ourselves down so that we're able to sleep. So just tuning into your body and seeing how you're feeling. So heat can be a positive thing in some senses because it can help to make aches and pains feel a little less so. It can also help us to stretch a little bit further. So we do need to be a little bit cautious in weather like this when we are stretching, that we don't then stretch too far. It's one of the dangers of things like hot yoga. So we're going to come to do some Sitali. So for Sitali, it's one of the only breathing practices where we breathe in through the mouth. So normally we breathe in through the nose, maybe exhale through the mouth, but for Sitali we breathe in through the mouth. So there are two different options. So some of us genetically are tongue rollers. I'm not one, so I can't demonstrate. But if you can roll your tongue, then that's what you do. And what you do is you breathe in through your mouth, so through the tunnel that you've created, and then you exhale through your nose. So it's the opposite to what you normally do. If you can't roll your tongue like I can't, then you're going to tuck the end of your tongue behind your top teeth. So you kind of create a little tunnel sort of in the, from side to side, and you do the same. So you breathe in through your mouth and then you breathe out through your nose. So just taking a few moments to do that. The idea being that by doing this, we're cooling the breath as it enters the body, and then that helps to then cool the body. So just breathing in through either your rolled tongue, or the tongue tucked behind your teeth, or sideways. Just seeing if it makes any difference to how you feel. About the normals. Just a few more moments to do this. That, just coming back to your normal breath. We'll come back to that practice a few times through the practice if we are feeling that we're starting to build heat. Obviously, the intention of a yoga practice is usually to build heat, but we're going to be focusing much more on just moving slowly, on holding our poses, but on holding poses that don't generate too much heat. So we're not looking for really precise form tonight where we've got kind of all the muscles engaged because that builds heat. We're looking just to kind of take things quite slowly. So if you're not already sitting cross-legged, coming to cross-legged or some other position that feels comfortable, just bringing the hands down by the sides and lengthening through the spine, feeling the top of the head drawing up. Next inhale, sweeping the arms up, looking up, maybe to the sky if you're outside. That's one of the joys about doing yoga. Allowing the shoulders to roll down. So bring the hands together and turn the palms upwards towards the ceiling or the sky and stretch out through the backs of the wrists. Breathing really slow and steady. Inhale again. And the exhale, we'll just slightly take a turn to the left, turning the upper body. On the exhale, you're going to release the left hand down and take the right hand over. So slightly more twisted version of our side stretch. If that doesn't feel quite right for you, then you can just walk the hand a little bit further around to the left. Really feeling like you can open the side to the sky or to the ceiling. Rounding through the right sit bone. Seeing if it does feel a little bit more stretchy than usual. Inhaling the hands back up. Again, pressing the palms away. Pulling the shoulders down. Inhaling here. And then on the exhale, slight little twist of the upper body towards the right side. And then on an exhale, releasing the right hand down and taking that stretch over the head. Seeing if you can really roll the left ribs up towards the sky and ceiling. Opening through that left side of the body. Rooting down through the left hip. Inhaling both hands back up. Pressing the palms away again. Big breath in. And then on the exhale, coming forwards into your forward fold. So forward folds are really cooling. So we're going to be doing a lot of forward folding tonight and taking a little bit more space into our forward folds. So breathing really slow and long. Perhaps using the forward folds for a little bit of satali breathing if you feel that the temperature is rising in your body. Inhale, sweeping the arms up again. Exhale, releasing them down. If you have got your legs crossed, just uncrossing them. If yours are anything like mine, a little bit sweaty, so just to get a little bit of air behind them and then switching across to go the opposite way. And I'm going to take the hands behind the back this time and clasp them together. And seeing if you can draw the hands away from the back. Looking to draw the shoulder blades together, open through the chest, perhaps looking up to the ceiling or the sky. And just breathing slow and steady. Looking to get the sort of deepest stretch here. And taking an inhale, and on the exhale, you're going to take the hands round towards the right, and you're going to twist to the left side. So we're taking the upper body around towards the left, hands are going towards the right. That's here. And then on the exhale, release, taking the right hand to the outside of the left leg, taking the left hand behind you and coming into your twist on the left side. Twists is somewhere where I always feel that there is a little bit more space when I'm feeling a little bit warmer. Inhaling, coming back to the center, taking the hands behind that once again, clasping them together. Inhaling here, and then on the exhale, you're going to turn to the right again, taking the hands ever so slightly towards the left. That stretch through the chest, feeling that stretch through the chest. And then on the exhale, releasing the left hand to the outside of the right knee, taking the right hand behind you, coming in. Inhaling, returning to the center, taking the hands behind you, clasp behind you again. Inhaling here, and then exhaling, just folding forwards, taking hands slightly up for a moment. So hands are still clasped behind you. And exhale, releasing them down and coming into that forward fold again. Stretch forwards, and just breathing slow and steady. Taking that sitting breath if that feels helpful to you. Inhale, walking the hands back up, coming back up to sit. Now I'm going to come over onto hands and knees. And setting up with hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Again, cat-cow, that's good for everything. Cat-cow is also a very good sequence of poses. So just really slowing the breath down, slowing the movement between your cow pose, drawing the chest forwards, looking forwards, and exhaling to open through the shoulders. Just moving really slowly between one and the other. Looking here to build heat, just looking to take advantage of the heat already in the body to stretch ourselves out. Back to a neutral spine when you've done both an equal number of poses. Draw the right foot forwards. Right foot forwards between the hands. Drop that into a lunge. So lunges again are really good in the heat because the hip flexors are areas of the body which hold a lot of tension, as we found when we were focusing on them. And so having heat in the body is a really good opportunity to stretch those out. Just into that stretch. Inhaling to release. Exhaling, we're going to draw the hips back, straightening the front leg. I'm going to make that into a hamstring stretch. So lifting up the right toes, coming up onto the heel, keeping that front leg stretched. Just going to drop the hips back. So you should feel a stretch up the back of the right leg. Depending on where you've got tightness, that will feel different. Again, hamstrings are parts of the body which can feel really, really good to stretch out in the heat. Places in the body which hold the body. Just releasing that on the inhale. Back to the floor, switching to bringing the left foot forwards. Just rocking into that stretch to begin with. So into that hip flexor stretch, a variation of our low lunge. We're not going to be doing loads of sun salutations tonight. So this is our chance to stretch into those hip flexors. And inhaling, exhale, lifting up the left toes, coming onto the left heel, straightening that leg, stretching into the back of the leg, into the hamstring, perhaps into the back of the knee, calves. Yeah, depends on where feels like this in the leg. Maybe slightly releasing that. Taking both knees back. And then drop ourselves back into our child's pose. So it may feel better to keep your head slightly up tonight, so perhaps just propping the head onto the backs of the hands. It may feel okay to bring the head onto the mat, just seeing how you feel with the temperature. Feeling the lower back stretch out. Slowly, slowly to the breath. Very slowly, we're going to inhale and come forwards. Make our way up into the downward dog. So tucking the toes, drawing the hips back. For me, doing this pose in the heat is really good because it helps to stretch out my incredibly tight calves. So whatever it is that you need stretching, just make that a very fidgety downward dog. Don't worry about your form tonight. As long as it's safe, then we're just looking to make the shape, take advantage of what we need to stretch out. We're going to walk the feet forwards to the hands into a forward fold. Just taking hold of the elbows to begin with. Rock from side to side. Releasing the head, taking the head from side to side. Moving the breath slow and steady. Inhale, all the way up. Slowly. Head and neck until last. Bringing yourself up to stand. So we're not going to be working through salutations today because they do build heat. We're going to do some half salutations because you see they focus on the forward folds. So it's going to be a little bit more of a sort of less of a flowing practice, more of a sort of static practice, but that's what we need. So coming into your Tadasana, feet pressed really nice and wide, rolling the shoulders back, opening the hands to the front. Breathing up through the length of the spine, and then exhale, just allowing the feet to settle into the ground, allowing the shoulders to drop. Just turning the face to the sun. It's quite a literal sun salutation if you are outside. And then inhale, stretching the arms up. I'm going to take a little bit more time through each of the poses today. So just standing in your upward facing, turning your face to the sun if you are at, looking up to the ceiling if you're indoors. Big breath in, and then on the exhale, folding forwards into that forward fold, tucking the head down. Back up into your half fold. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, lifting all the way up through the sky to the ceiling. Looking upwards, taking an extra breath here. And on the exhale, bringing the hands back down, standing by the sides. And inhaling to lift the hands, looking up. Stretching up through the sides. Exhale, folding down. Coming into that forward fold. Taking a breath or two here. Feeling back up, coming into your half exhaling, folding down, way up. Exhaling down through the center line. Inhaling to lift. Lifting up. Stretching through the sides. The exhale, folding forwards. Forward fold. Inhaling, clean body up. Exhaling, folding back down. Inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhaling the hands down through the center line, releasing the hands down, and just coming into that Satali breathing for a moment again. So rolling the tongue, inhaling through the mouth, exhaling through the nose. Now any excess heat that you're feeling. Releasing that, just coming back to your normal breathing. We're coming to a tree pose, which is quite appropriate for those of you outdoors. So if you are practicing outdoors and you haven't practiced outdoors for a while, just be aware that the surface may be a little bit more unsteady, and so it may be a little bit trickier. So then lift up the right foot, draw it in towards the body. And then just taking the hip out to the side for a moment, but keeping the pelvis steady. Looking at where that is, that's probably not going to be a kind of right angle. Wherever it is, you're going to bring your foot in towards the leg. Now that might be down by the knee, it might be halfway up the thigh, it might be a little bit further up. Bringing that in. That's just bringing the hands down by the sides, if that feels okay. If you are feeling like you're wobbling a little bit, you can bring the hands onto the hips, or you can bring the hands to the center line, which helps with that sense of balance. Just breathing slow and steady here. Exhale, releasing that down. Coming onto the opposite side. Bring the knee in towards you. Through the ankle if that helps. I'm going to take the leg out to the side, keeping the pelvis facing forwards. And from where you are, you're going to bring the foot into the inside of the leg, wherever that meets. Coming into your tree pose on the opposite side. Nice and slow and simple. Lovely. Maybe I can see the top part of your tree pose, or you can see the bottom part of your tree pose. Put bits of you together. Releasing that down, just walking out through the legs. And if you have turned to the side of your mat, just turn to the front. And you're going to inhale the arms up. You're going to exhale and step your left foot back, bringing the hands down to the ground, just dropping into that lunge pose once again. So keeping the hands firmly rooted, back leg nice and straight. And perhaps a little bit of a bend in the knee if that helps. Slow. Inhale, releasing that a little bit, and then straightening that front leg, slightly shifting the hands back. Bring the hips back, the same as we did when we were on the ground. So the same sequence of poses, stretch into the hip flexors and then stretch into the hamstrings. And back into that front knee again. Keeping the left hand planted. Inhale, sweep the right arm forwards and then open it out, coming into a twist for a moment. Releasing that hand back down. Step that back into a downward dog. I'm not going to invite you to do a vinyasa today because we are trying to keep body temperature down. You're welcome to if you wish to. I'm going to bring the left foot forwards and switch onto the opposite side. So coming into that lunge on the left foot. Inhaling, releasing, drawing that left knee back, straightening the front leg, coming into that hamstring stretch. Not worrying too much about your forward, stretch the knee from that distance. Trying to keep it safe. Down, stepping yourself back into downward dog pose. Then walking the hands back to the feet and coming into your forward fold. So we're going to take a few different variations of the forward fold today. So the variation we're going to start off with is you're going to take your two first fingers and you're going to wrap them around your big toes. So two first fingers are going to be wrapped around the big toes. Then you're going to inhale and straighten the spine. And exhale, taking the elbows out and just using the pressure of the hands to draw the upper body down, coming into that forward fold. You want to have a little bit of a bend into the knees if that helps to feel more comfortable in the lower back, then you can do that. Feeling like you're drawing the hips up towards the ceiling or the sky. At the same time, a bit more space in the hips to roll forwards. And releasing that. Walk the hands forwards again, coming into downward dog pose. And there we're going to step the left foot forwards. And we're going to do the twist, which I forgot to do on the opposite side. So keeping the right hand planted, we're going to inhale the left hand forwards, just coming into that twist on the opposite side. Making ourselves a little bit more balanced. Releasing that down. And from here, just going to step the back foot forwards a little bit. I'm going to inhale and come up, coming up into that lunge pose, keeping the hands on the front leg. So we want to make that feel reasonably comfortable, not too strenuous by lifting up. Ready, we'll inhale the hands up, turning face towards the ceiling or to the sky. Inhale and spring forwards to the front of the mat, stretching up, exhaling the hands down, rolling through the shoulders. I'm going to switch on to the opposite side. So inhaling the arms up, lifting up, exhaling, stepping back with the left foot and coming into that lunge on the opposite side. So taking the hands onto the right knee to begin with, stretching that back foot back, maybe a little bit of a bend into it, perhaps reasonably straight, seeing how it feels. Ready, inhaling the hands up, turning the face towards the ceiling onto the sky. And that steady balance. And exhale, planting your hands back down, stepping yourself back into your downward dog once again. And then you're going to walk the hands back towards the feet again. And we're going to take another variation of a standing forward fold. So this time, if you can, you're going to take perhaps just the fingertips, or if possible, taking the whole hand underneath the foot. So your toes are going to be pressed into the wrist crease, or perhaps just into the palm of the hand if that feels a little bit too much for you. Just tucking the hands underneath the feet. You're going to inhale as much as you can to lengthen the spine, and then exhale, folding forwards. Again, bringing the elbows out to the sides if you can. Just drawing yourself forwards. One stretch. Lifting the hips to the sky, to the ceiling. Releasing the hands out from underneath. And inhale, roll it all the way up through the spine. And then rolling through the hips. You want to stretch the hands to the sky and exhaling down. Okay, so hopefully not feeling too warm or too much warmer. If you are, just taking a moment here to practice your sitali breathing, maybe a couple of breaths in through the mouth, through the nose. And then from here, we're going to do some side stretches. So inhaling the arms up, bringing the hands together. And then you're going to exhale over towards the left, stretching into that right side of the body. Taking a moment here with the hands together. Then you're going to release the left hand to the side, continuing to stretch the right arm over, rooting through that right foot. Feeling that stretch through the side. Inhaling the left hand back up to reach the right. Exhale it over to the right side, keeping the hands together, making sure the shoulders are drawing away from the ears. And then exhaling that right hand over, taking the left hand over the head even more, really stretching through that left side of the body. Into that side, rooting through the left foot. Inhaling both hands back up together, stretching through the length of the body. And then exhaling the hands down. Here, bringing the hands onto the waist. And if you're not already facing the long edge of the mat, turning to face the long edge of the mat, then you're going to step the feet out. We're going to come in a moment into wide leg standing forward fold. So facing the long edge of your mat, taking the feet, taking the heels slightly out, toes slightly in towards you, hands onto the hips. Inhaling to lengthen through the spine, maybe a little bit of a bend into the knee to begin with. And then on the exhale, we're going to fold ourselves forwards, coming into that forward fold. And perhaps releasing the hands down towards the ground. Perhaps just walking the hands back in line with the feet, if that feels okay for you. Of course, the option is always there to keep the hands onto the legs if that feels better for anything in your body. And releasing the head down. And then just slowly taking breaths. And inhale, bringing the hands back onto the waist and then lifting up through the body, coming back to stand. And stepping the feet back together, releasing the hands down by the sides. And an inhale, sweeping the arms up, looking up. And then exhaling, then turn to the left, keeping the hands together. So we're just turning the upper body, keeping the feet where they are. Slightly will turn into the hips. And then on an exhale, you're going to release the hands apart. So taking your hands parallel, hands are going to be facing towards the sides. Trying this twist. These are all slightly cooler versions of the standing poses that we do. Warrior-based flow is very heating. Inhaling, coming back to the center, hands together. And then exhaling, turning to the right, keeping the hands together for a moment. Exhale, taking the hands out wide, keeping the palms facing towards the sides. And into your twist. Inhaling, lifting the hands back up, turning back towards the front, and releasing the hands back down, and taking the hands back onto the hips. Stepping the feet wide, turning to the long edge of the mat if you need to. Again, slightly taking the heels out, slightly drawing the toes in. Inhaling, and then on the exhale, folding forwards once again, bending the knees if you need to. This time, if you can, again, taking the first two fingers and just seeing if you can take them underneath the big toes. And then using that pressure to draw you down, taking the elbows out towards the sides, folding yourself down, coming down towards your mat. And just breathing slowly and steadily. Exhaling, releasing the fingers from between the toes, taking the hands back onto the waist, and then pressing in with the feet. And inhale, coming slowly back up, and then just bringing the toes back together, turning to face at the short edge of the mat once again. Inhaling to lift the arms, look up. Exhale, folding forwards. Walking the hands forwards or backwards, depending on where you are on your mat, coming into a downward dog pose. And stretching everything out once again. And then from there, bringing the knees down to the ground and coming to sit onto your shins for a moment. And then from there, you're going to bring the feet out in front of you, stretching into, in a moment, we're going to come into our forward folding sequence. So hopefully none of us are feeling too hot. But we still seem to be moving, which is good. So we're going to draw the left knee in towards the chest, stretching it towards you. And then we'll release that knee out towards the side. And just taking a moment just to feel yourself a little bit more grounded. So just drawing the buttocks back a little bit, just so you can kind of sit yourself a little bit more firmly in the nicest possible way. Just moving a bit of the flesh out of the way to kind of root yourself a bit more firmly. Pressing the fingers into the ground, drawing yourself up. Inhaling here, And then on the exhale, we're going to walk the fingers forwards, coming into our folds. Just focusing on the release. It doesn't matter about perfect form today. We're just using heat in our bodies to enjoy the stretch. Every few moments, see if you can sweep the fingers any further forwards, if there's any more space. Not pushing it too much, just listening to your body. And then inhale, walking the hands back up. And taking the right foot over the left leg, either keeping that left leg straight or perhaps tucking the heel in towards the bottom, whichever version works for you. You're going to wrap the left arm around the right leg and draw that in towards you. So feeling the stretch into that outer hip. Taking a few breaths here to allow that release. And perhaps this is where you want to stay, or perhaps you take an inhale and just take the right hand behind you, turning into that stretch. So they're much more low energy stretches tonight because we don't need to create that extra length by stretching the arm up, turn around, because that heat's already there to come into the stretch a little bit more. Inhaling, releasing that forwards. Just taking a little counter stretch the opposite way towards the left. And inhaling, releasing forwards. Switching to the opposite leg, so stretching both legs out. And then drawing the left knee in towards you, doing a little pull towards you. And then releasing that left knee out. And again, just slightly drawing the flesh away from the sit bones, just allowing yourself a little bit more space to sort of almost slightly tip further forwards. Hands down by the sides of the legs, inhaling to draw the spine up. And then on the exhale, walking the hands forwards, coming into your fold. Allowing it to happen, not worrying too much about your form tonight. And using the exhale to breathe out that heat. Cool the body down. And then inhaling, drawing the hands back towards you. Lifting up the left knee. Taking that left foot over the right leg. Either keeping the leg straight or tucking it in towards the sit bone. Whichever version you took on the opposite side, taking the same on this side. And wrapping that right arm around the left leg. Drawing the left leg across the body. Taking a few breaths here just to really open into that hip. And then maybe that's enough, or maybe you wish to then take the left hand around and come into that as a twist, seated twist. To release that forwards and just taking a little counter twist in the opposite direction. Inhaling to release that. Just taking both feet in front of you, hip distance apart. We're not going to come into reverse tabletop pose tonight as our counter pose because again, we're looking to kind of keep the effort down. So just taking the hands behind you, the fingertips facing forward. And on the inhale, just going to draw the chest open, lift the head up, and just take a stretch through the spine. And releasing that forwards. Now I'm going to take both legs out in front of you, coming into our seated forward fold. Again, just kind of shuffling the flesh out the way, just seeing if you can create a little bit more tip, or you can bring yourself to sit on something. A little bit of a bend into the knees. Taking both hands down either sides of the legs, inhaling to lengthen through the spine, and exhaling, walking the hands forwards, coming into that forward fold. Not worrying too much about your form, just allowing that pose to happen. If you find any more space. And inhale, walking the hands back up. And taking the hands behind you, fingertips facing forwards, pressing the chest open, looking up. And lifting that pose. And releasing that down. And then from there, we're going to roll ourselves down. So bringing the feet hip distance apart, rolling yourself down through the spine. And from there, we're going to draw the knees to the chest, having a little rock from side to side. And then taking the hands out wide, back shoulder distance. Inhaling and exhaling very gently, allowing the legs to drop over to the right side of the body. Looking towards the left hand if that feels okay. Inhaling, coming back to center. And exhaling, taking the knees over to the left side. Looking towards the right hand. Inhaling, coming back to the center. And then releasing the legs down. So before we come into our Shavasana, we're going to take a pose for a little bit longer. So the heat is very good for the sort of yin type poses. So I'm going to give you a few different options. So your first option is you can take the feet up in the air and just allow them to come in towards you. So just holding them behind the calves, drawing them towards you. If you've got something to pop under your bottom, you could just bring that up and then they might just stay there without you needing to do anything. Your second option is to bring the feet together and allow the knees to drop out to the side. So coming into your reclining balanced angle pose. Or your third option is to take the legs up the wall. So any of those three options. So either taking the feet up into the air in a kind of very, very gentle shoulder stand. You can take legs up the wall, or you can bring the feet together and just open them out to the side, coming into balanced angle pose. So whichever option you're taking, just slowing down, slowly and steadily. And then from wherever you are, you're going to do any final last poses you feel that you need. So your yoga's choice. From there, make your way into your shavasana. There's Gibbs making a guest appearance. And when you're ready, making your way into your shavasana. A big breath in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Sighing everything out, using that to exhale any remaining heat. Releasing the feet, releasing the legs, releasing the hips, releasing the abdomen and the lower back, releasing the chest and the upper back, releasing the hands and the arms, releasing the shoulders, releasing the face. temperatures rise, bringing a time to slow down, to breathe and relax. No places to go or rush, just this very mat to be. Take a breath into the body. Exhaling, letting it go. So bring some small movements into the fingers and toes. And stretching the arms up above the head. Stretch through the body right from the fingers down to the toes. And perhaps drawing the knees into the chest. And taking a rock from side to side. And making a pillow for the head with the arm. Over onto your side. Nearly got everybody to the end. We lost Amy about 5 minutes ago. So inhaling, sweeping the arms up, looking up. And on the exhale, drawing the hands together down through the centre line. And I thank you very much for your practice this evening. And I hope you found it suitably cooling and enjoy or survive the rest of the week, depending on your view of hot weather.